The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So, Adam, as we record this, I'm looking at the Twitter machine, or X, excuse me. It says here that Serginho Dest has torn his ACL. That's a big blow for the U.S. national team.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think he just came out on a little video and told his situation. So, and it was tough because he kind of regrouped a little bit after a bit of a shocker during one of his games in the Nations League, where he kind of got red carded, and did okay in the last few games in that Nations League finals there, but opens the door for somebody else. So
it's true.
There might be a couple other players, even DeAndre Yedlin maybe. He might be a player that might come back into the fold. Joe Scally, who's playing with Borussia Mönchengladbach. Yeah. So could be somebody else.
All right, well, that's the latest American soccer news, but we've got lots more happening in England, and that's coming up right now.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
And actually, before we even get to England, there's a whole international thing going on, the Champions League. What a game yesterday. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it.
I don't watch it anymore. But just as soon as the English teams get knocked out, it means nothing to me.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
of course. Who couldn't miss that game? Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Sign me up. I'm watching that one all day long.
Actually, England's two biggest stars were in the game, right?
Yes, exactly.
Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, and there was lots of German-on-German crime. Tony Kroos, the old who played for Bayern Munich for years, had himself quite a game. That pass, I don't know if you saw the pass for that first goal.
Yeah, it was a beautiful pass. Yeah, played in behind in for Vinicius Jr., who is probably one of the fastest players I've ever seen.
I know, it's amazing. And then there was a goal by Leroy Sané for Bayern Munich that was just explosive. You know, he's being covered, and boom! It's just an explosive, wonderful goal. It was one of the better games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good one, and then you got a couple of penalties there at the end too. So, which was good. I mean, Harry Kane, the guy is just ruthless from the penalty spot. The guy is unbelievable. So, which is a good sign for England for the future when they get into the Euros. And then obviously Vinicius. I honestly thought he was going to miss it. I thought that Manuel Neuer might save it, and it wasn't a great penalty, to be honest. I thought he waited. He could have maybe stopped it.
Yeah, he jumped too soon, Neuer, which is unusual for him because he is a great goalkeeper. So it ends up as a 2-2 draw. And, you know, one of the things that was interesting listening to the commentators, I hadn't really thought about this before, but Thomas Tuchel has now been in the semifinals 3 times in the last 5 years with 3 different teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's Tommy Tuchel, good old Tommy. He's very renowned for all the Chelsea fans. The Chelsea fans really love him still. I follow obviously a lot of Chelsea stuff on Twitter, and they're constantly in admiration for what he did when he was at Chelsea. Obviously, he won the Champions League for Chelsea back in the day there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They also ran him out of town.
Just like Bayern Munich did. Yeah. Exactly. Same thing. But,
right.
He's a good one. I'm sure I don't think he's going to have any trouble finding a job for sure.
No, I think that's fair to say. The other Champions League game is happening later today as we record this, so we don't have the results, but by next week we'll know who is going to, or what. You know, actually, these are just the opening games. They still go to play at the other stadium, right?
Exactly. I mean, realistically, 2-2, Real Madrid going back home, you probably got to put them as favourites. But
yeah, I would.
I've still got a good feeling about Bayern Munich. I think they got that was And listening to a lot of people, that was one of the better games they played this year, in terms of how they played and what they did. So that's a good sign. Hopefully, they might be able to, snatch something away from home. It's not going to be easy, but good chance.
Well, I'd love to see it. I'd like to see an all-German final, but I have a feeling it'll be the opposite. But we'll find out. Let's talk about English soccer, because maybe the most exciting news happening in England is happening at the second division level, the championship. Ipswich is poised to make a return to the Premier League. They only need one more point, I think.
That's right.
So, give us the historical Ipswich tutorial, because I think a lot of people that are, American fans may not know a lot about Ipswich. They haven't been in the Premier League for over 20 years, but they've got quite a story. Yeah,
so the current manager probably is the one that probably gets a lot of credit. His name is Kieran McKenna. Was formerly an assistant manager at Manchester United. I think he was working with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and maybe a couple of managers after Alex Ferguson. But to put it into perspective, they're doing a little bit of a Wrexham. This could be their second promotion in a row.
Yeah.
So they were in League One, then they go to the Championship, and then they need, like you said, 1 point to get there. But the biggest thing in terms of Ipswich, what they were renowned for, was Bobby Robson. So if you know who Bobby Robson is, Bobby Robson was a great English manager. This was his first club where he basically took them to a whole new level. And they had some really good players. This was in the 70s and early 80s. And they ended up going through and winning the old basically it's now the Europa Cup, I guess you could say. I think it was called something else back then. But they won a couple of FA Cups and were really guarded as one of the big groups, big teams back in the days of the early 80s. And then, unfortunately, it just kind of went downhill a little bit, went all the way down to League One, now coming back up. So I'm excited because they're a good-sized club, very well supported, and I think they're going to be a nice addition to the Premier League if they get that 1 point they need.
So where is Ipswich in England?
So Ipswich is in the Norfolk area. So it's actually, Ipswich is in Suffolk. So if you think of England itself, and it's got kind of a little bit of a butt on the side there, that's where Ipswich is. They're on the right-hand side. So it's basically east of London going towards the coast.
Okay. And who is their big rival?
So their big rival is Norwich. So Norwich, and so that's the big rivalry between those two. So Ipswich and Norwich. Obviously, Norwich has been in the Premier League, a little bit of a yo-yo team back and forth.
Yeah.
But that's always a big game in that part of the country. So, but they're probably their most famous long-time Ipswich fan, and maybe you're going to see a bit more of him, is Mr. Ed Sheeran. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So he actually, I think, did something with. I think he sponsored their front kit at one point. So
wow,
we won't be surprised if he produces a new album. It's got the name of the title at the front of it. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. But nice little stadium. Never been there, but I've heard good things. And they was kind of nicknamed the Tractor Boys there for a while in the early 2000s, just because of they were always beating teams traditionally that were better than what they were. But had a nice little run in Europe, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right. So Leicester City is already back up. All right, they've clinched a spot. Ipswich looks like they're going to clinch the second spot. Then the third one, there are, I'd say, 4 possibilities. It's Leeds, Southampton, Norwich, who we were just talking about, and also West Brom. And then still with an outside shot, the only other team that has a chance of getting into that playoff is Hull City. What are your thoughts about those teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because Ipswich, they need the point, but if they lose and Leeds wins, Leeds is going to go up,
right? Because
they have a better goal differential, and so they've got 6 more goals in terms of differential, so that's going to be a big one. So I think obviously Leeds, Southampton, those 2 are definitely in the playoffs. Those are going to be the top 2 seeds. Could be Ipswich potentially, and I think Norwich, they're looking pretty secure as well. And Hull City, who's on the outside, they're 2 points behind West Brom, but they have the worst goal differential. So I think it's all going to come down to, I think Norwich is in, Southampton's in, Leeds and Ipswich are in, depending. It's really going to be between West Brom and Hull City to get that last spot.
Okay. Well, and all of those teams have been in the Premier League recently. So
That's right. And it goes back to what we talked about before. You'll see this a lot. Teams get relegated, and then the next year they go back up. And you know what's great about next year? We're going to see Jamie Vardy again.
That's right. Although somebody told me that Leicester has not signed him yet for next year.
Yeah,
they'll sign him though, right?
Yeah, they have to. Yeah. I mean, they always talk about him having a party, and they actually had footage of him hosting another party after they got promoted. So, yeah, there's no way. There would be a massive outcry in Leicester if he doesn't get re-signed. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so we've talked about the teams that will be coming up. Looks like they're going to be joined in the championship by Sheffield. All right, next year, Sheffield is definitely down.
Yeah.
Everton is safe. Right, they won their game, so they are safe.
That's right.
So it's really now, I think, in Nottingham Forest's hands. They face Sheffield and Burnley in their last 3 games. They really have a shot there at getting some points.
Yeah, it's really going to be up to them. I mean, you're looking at Burnley, Luton, and Nottingham Forest. It's basically 2 of those 3 that are going to go down. And I, like you said, I think a lot of it's going to deal with specifically who they're playing next, who's coming up, what they've got coming up, and anything can happen. I still got a funny feeling that Burnley's got, maybe I have a little bit of a soft spot for them, but I feel like they're on a good run. They're playing well. The other teams seem to be struggling a little bit.
True.
There's a little bit of confidence in that. And I just like the way they play. They try and play out of the back. They've kept to what they've been trying to do. And they're getting better at the right time. So, again, they're going to have to rely on a little bit of things happening because they are that 1 point behind.
Right.
So that they have to rely on something changing. Actually, 2 points behind Nottingham Forest. So they have to Nottingham Forest has to drop points, but they are definitely the most informed team out of the group.
Yeah,
looking at the last 3 games, they're unbeaten in their last 3, whereas I think Luton are going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, Luton has looked bad the last couple of weeks. Like they suddenly remembered they were Luton. Like, oh, wait a minute, what are we doing here? Yes.
That's funny. Yeah.
Well, so this will be a fun thing to watch. Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the Illinois soccer community since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association, and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the Olympic Development Program, and the U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org. And we'll probably be talking a little bit about State Cup and all that stuff coming up here in the next few weeks. So we've got President's Cup, we've got State Cup. We just had our play-in, so everybody's getting ready, getting their teams set. They're playing their round-robin games, and then they head to Rockford to see who will take it all.
Great. Exciting. All right. It's time for your favorite part of the show.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
All right, let me ask you, are you a little drugged up still from your surgery, or are you feeling a little sharper?
I'm feeling a little sharper. I want to definitely do a little bit better than I did last week. It was pretty embarrassing. So, but again, you pick people that are not really stars. It's very difficult to do that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm okay. I think I'm feeling good. We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
All right, we will see. This week's star is 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good English lad, born and bred in jolly old England, but with a very not English name.
Okay.
All right. In his youth career, he played for Arsenal, Fulham, Reading, and Millwall. So he was in all of their academies. His first professional team was Queen's Park Rangers. Another team that is in the championship, right? Aren't they in the...
That's right, yeah. They played a little bit in the Premier League.
Yep, I remember that. He has only played on one Premier League team, and it's his current one.
Okay.
So he's still establishing himself in the league. He is an attacking midfielder, say like a left winger, but he can play various different positions. He wears number 10, so I'd say he's a number 10.
He's a true number 10.
I think so. His team is safe in the Premier League, but they are near the bottom.
Okay. Would this player, would he be playing with where they sing a song that you absolutely love when they run out onto the field?
Yes.
And they talk about them being glad all over.
Yes, he would play for that team.
And he has recently struck a bit of form because of his... he had a bit of a spell injury-wise, and he's actually played a couple of times for England.
Yeah, he has.
So I always have a hard time pronouncing his name.
I'm going to make you pronounce it.
And I'm going to go with his last name only. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you can.
It's Eza Eberici Aluchi Eza, who is currently playing with Crystal Palace.
That's right. And here's a little trivia about him. He is related to American comedian Ego Nodum, who is a cast member on Saturday Night Live.
Really?
The two of them are cousins. Wodum was seen wearing his shirt during an episode of the show in 2023, which she gave it to him, or he gave it to her when she visited London, and they are cousins.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I didn't know that. Yeah, didn't know that.
There's some free things to drop off at the next cocktail party. Flop out. All right.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's been good. I think when you look at Crystal Palace, especially in the last few games, they've just been absolutely on fire. They've been playing pretty well. Really excited for them, especially because they've just kind of changed managers. They've just gone through a little bit of a change in terms of areas. So Oliver Glasner, who I believe is
German.
He's German. Is he Austria? I don't know. It's the same thing. Yeah. Austrian, German. I think he was born in Austria, but I think I think he is actually Austrian. I think so.
Well, he speaks German. How about that?
Well, he speaks German. Yeah. And like you said many times, same thing. So, yeah, but he came from Eintracht Frankfurt, who had a good little run there for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed with him. He's a guy that I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into because I think he's he's got something, because Crystal Palace are definitely playing at a much better level than what they were. For sure.
Oh, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
I watched them against Liverpool, and I thought, this team's pretty good.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I think they're going to be lights out. So I think they're doing pretty well.
Okay. Sure. Well, you did much better this week, so congratulations.
Good, yeah. Off the drugs, that's what happens.
Yeah,
get off drugs.
Exactly. Just say no, kids.
Remember, kids, when you get off drugs, you're going to do much better on the quiz.
That's right. As Nancy Reagan always said, just say no. All right. We've been doing this new bit where it's called Stat of the Week, and I just was curious this week to see which of the Premier League managers get the most red cards or yellow cards. And here's something interesting, all right? There's only one Premier League manager who's been there the whole season who has yet to receive a single booking or red card. Every other one has gotten at least one.
Only one manager this season
has not gotten one. Like Mikel Arteta leads the league. He's got 5, right?
Of course he does.
Ten Hag has 4. So I mean, those are your leaders in the booking department. But
could I guess on who I think might not have gotten one?
Yeah,
I'm going to go with. I think it may be a little bit of a long shot. He's a little fiery, but I don't think I've seen too much. Unai Emery?
Nope, he's gotten one.
Oh, no. Really? Okay.
Yeah, this is I think if you guessed, I think it would take you about 10 guesses. So I'm going to help you out because this is kind of a hard one. It's Rob Edwards of Luton Town.
Wow, that's interesting. And if there's anybody who'd be upset, you'd think it'd be him.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't that interesting that every single coach has gotten at least one yellow card?
Yeah.
That's not how they teach it at the coaching clinics, is it?
No, we don't. We make sure that we are respectful to everybody, respectful to the referees, respectful to the game. So sometimes that doesn't always happen. Emotions get the best of people.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
Obviously, Rob can handle his emotions.
Yes. So gold star. Enjoy that. Enjoy that good demeanor back in the championship next season.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for another feature.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the relegation zone. We've talked about, we didn't really talk about the title race this week because it's pretty much unchanged. But we're down to the final games. So what shall we watch?
This was a tough one. Again, you look at... I think what I'm going to do is focus, because we talked a little bit about it, but I think the relegation zone, is going to have some interesting games, especially because these two games are going on at the same time. So we could do what you do, the little galazzo, if you can watch both games, put one on the computer, one on the television. You've got one on Peacock, one on the USA. So multitask. Saturday, 9 o'clock. Sheffield United at home against Nottingham Forest, and Burnley versus Newcastle. I think this could distinguish what happens in terms of who stays up. Nottingham Forest don't get a result, and Burnley, who's at home against Newcastle, do. I'm gonna put my money on Burnley to win, and to stay up.
And they play against each other the final game of the season.
Exactly, final game of the season. I mean, you could not write the script.
Kind of rooting for that, actually. That'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. I hate to say that, but that's going to be the game of the week in a few weeks. There's no question. But, and then we've still got a title to kind of talk about as well. But to me, I always like the relegation scraps, the battles, because it's like you're fighting for something. You're fighting for survival. To me, that is so much more important than just winning a championship.
Right. Anybody can win a championship.
Yeah. And when you're owned by a sovereign state, you can win as many as you want, right?
Right,
so
exactly.
That's normally how it works.
And we already know who's going to win it. So even though
exactly.
It's possible that they don't, but let's be honest. I think everybody knows who's going to win it.
Yeah. But did you know, I don't know if you knew this, they are talking about a salary cap in the Premier League. in a couple of years. So this could make a big difference on it. And it was interesting, out of all of the teams that voted, there was only 4 teams that voted against it.
Can I guess?
Who do you think those 4 teams were? Man United.
Yeah.
Manchester City.
Chelsea.
Chelsea, I actually did not vote. They abstained.
Okay.
Which is basically the same as saying no.
All right.
And
Liverpool.
then an interesting one. Aston Villa.
Really?
Yeah. So those were the 3 teams that voted no, and then Chelsea abstained. So the rest of the people are in for it. They were okay with it.
Okay.
But maybe that's something that maybe Man United's thinking that down the road they're going to get some big money, obviously, from Jim Ratcliffe there, and a huge cash influx, and then obviously Man City, they're owned by a country, so they got whatever they need. So
it's so funny because the city of Manchester is not exactly, it's not London. Let's put it that way, right?
No,
and they've got these two clubs that just have unlimited funds.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm not going to downplay it. I've spent a lot of time in Manchester the last few years. Definitely enjoyed my time there. Certainly, and the downtown area, the city itself, it's definitely raised its level. So definitely improved in a lot of ways. But you're right, it's no London, I think, and you'll find that with a lot of foreign players. They're going to go to London instead of Manchester, and it also rains a heck of a lot in Manchester.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the hardest part, I think, about living in England, is just the constant rain. But
yeah, well, it's a bit like our April right now, yes, in some respects. Yeah. But we've got good weather coming,
right?
So that's the thing. Whereas there, it's like it could stay the same like this the whole time.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have one more thing I'd like to say about it. I always thought it was funny that when there is nice weather, which there is sometimes in the summer, that's the time of year they're not playing soccer. They only play when it's not nice.
Yes.
It makes no sense, but whatever. All right. Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club. Go to greenwhitesoccer.org to find out more about this club that has been around for almost 70 years. Yeah. Led by Mustafa Edders, who's our director of coaching for the youth. And we also have an adult program. And we have a over 50 team even. So I went out and watched them play this past weekend, and they look pretty good. So it's greenwhitesoccer.org. All right, we have people to thank. We need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasano, with Opie Shows. We also need to thank our distributor, Ed Silla, with the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place, RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of Free Kicks.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?